SpaceX has made strides for a private space corporation. It's the first private company to launch its own liquid propellant rocket into space, and its owner, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, has even bigger plans for its future. For now, the main goal for this company is to start colonizing Mars. But how do they plan on doing it? What will the cost be? And how long will it take? Are all questions that remain unanswered. In this video, we'll be delving into the plan for SpaceX and when they plan on getting to Mars. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos that we post. First off, their infrastructure. SpaceX has in recent years become a lot more independent and made their own launching platforms and rockets that don't rely on any space agencies. The infrastructure is vital for their future Mars colonization plans. The most vital part of their Mars project will be their launching facility in South Texas, otherwise known as Starbase. This launching site isn't as flashy as you would expect from an Elon Musk project. Nonetheless, it gets the job done. Not only will this be the launching site of their Starship spacecraft, it's also the site where the spacecraft will be assembled. On top of it, keeping things less flashy and more productive will help make Mars colonization a feasible project financially. Speaking of the Starship spacecraft, this spacecraft will be the final piece in the puzzle for Mars colonization. It's going to be a fully reusable heavy lift launch vehicle that will be able to land on Mars and also bring you back from Mars. Eventually, Elon Musk hopes to bring the cost per launch of the Starship down to just $2 million per launch. This is dirt cheap when compared to the other potential Mars spacecraft. In comparison, NASA's space shuttle costs over $450 million to launch. This dirt cheap price will be the result of the spacecraft's reusability. Since all parts of this spacecraft will be able to be brought back to the Earth and be reused countless times, it'll bring down the overall cost significantly. Elon Musk mentioned how expensive a single flight would be if every plane could only be used once, and said he plans on imitating how human flight became affordable to the general public and applying it to space flight as well. So what will the Starship be like? The Starship is still in development and we don't know exactly what it would be like, but what we do know about it, it's an impressive spacecraft. Each Starship will be able to carry about 100 crew members on board. Additionally, it'll have the capacity to carry 100 to 150 tons of payload, which could include everything from fuel to oxygen to essential materials we would need in order to start building our colony on Mars. The first Starship spacecraft is expected to be launched without any crew in 2024. If it's successful, SpaceX will launch another Starship spacecraft to Mars in 2026, formally beginning the Mars colonization program and making the first human landing on Mars. The eventual goal of the Starship project is to launch 1,000 Starships that will carry 100,000 people to Mars. No date is given on when that will happen, but Elon Musk says that it'll not be enough. He wants life on Mars to be self-sustaining, which means sending at least 1 million people to the planet. The overall vehicle will consist of the spacecraft at the top and a launch vehicle known as the Super Heavy at the bottom. If you compare it to other spacecraft, such as the Space Shuttle, you'll notice it's much thinner than them. This is all in an effort to reduce overall costs, as Mars colonization will never be possible unless it's cheap. After it leaves the Earth, the Super Heavy will separate from the Starship itself and will return to Earth while the Starship makes its way to Mars. The overall speed of the Starship as it approaches Mars will reach over 17,000 miles per hour. And that's where the most challenging part comes, which is decelerating the spacecraft in order to be able to safely land on Mars with the estimated 1,000 crew members on board unharmed. Not only that, but the Starship will actually be able to and will need to refuel at least once on its way to Mars. This will be possible by sending in another Starship towards the one on the mission and connect the two in order to transfer fuel. This other Starship will likely be stationed somewhere in space, like on the moon. Next, how far has the Starship project come? The Starship project is the only thing missing to begin Mars colonization, but it's actually not as far into the future as you'd think. Prototypes of the Starship have been made, and even more of them may be built in the future. In fact, SpaceX actually plans on launching one of these prototypes into the Earth's orbit this year. There are some plans for the use of the Starship even before the Mars project begins, such as using the Starship to transport Starlink satellites into the Earth's orbit. Starlink is expected to bring high-speed internet to every corner of the world, and the revenue from this project is expected to be over $30 billion a year, which can be used to fund the Starship program. What will life on Mars be like for its residents? While life on Mars may be glamorized today in film and television, it's actually going to come with a lot of challenges. Each Starship will come equipped with enough resources to accommodate each and every crew member beginning their life on Mars. This will include special suits made for Mars's atmosphere, food, mining supplies, and building supplies. This comes in conflict with the profit-driven nature of SpaceX. Since people are actually expected to pay to go on Mars, these will probably be mega-rich people who have never picked up a shovel in their lives. How will they be able to build an entire Martian settlement? That's still a challenge Elon Musk has to overcome. The settlement will consist of numerous housing areas and agriculture zones. If you've seen The Martian, you should have a pretty good idea of how this would work. But food will be grown with specialized buildings that will have ideal conditions to grow any kind of fruit or vegetable. However, Martians are expected to have a mostly plant-based diet, and there aren't any immediate plans to bring livestock to Mars, even if that's possible in our lifetimes. At first, there will probably be some hand-picked specialists who are allowed to go on Mars in order to set up the colony, and eventually more common, albeit wealthy people, will be led onto the planet to make it sustainable. Sustainability will be a huge part of the Mars colonization plan, and it'll probably be the most expensive part. There needs to be an ideal environment for humans to be able to be born on Mars. It also needs to be humane to children. This means building hospitals, schools, roads, parks, and so many other things we take for granted here on Earth. Is it feasible? As excited as we all are for potential Mars colonization, there are more than a few critics of this plan. Firstly, there are distractors who say there are plenty of problems here on Earth, and they can't simply be fixed by leaving the planet. Musk even agreed, but also mentioned that just because there are many problems on Earth doesn't mean science doesn't deserve to evolve. These problems can be fixed, and we can also progress as human civilization together. There are others who question the equality of this project. According to them, this will be a for-profit project that will only allow rich people to travel to other planets. Some more deserving people might be left behind, but even that criticism is weak, considering no one really deserves to leave a planet, and slowly costs will be brought down for even an average person to go into space. Although no one knows how far into the future that prospect might be. The biggest criticism this project receives is for its highly ambitious goals. While Elon might have given dates like 2024 and 2026 for its first launches, in reality there are no deadlines for these projects. Mars comes to its closest point with the Earth once about every 2 years, and that point is when the majority of these launches are expected to take place. If there are any problems in the first launch, expected by 2024, it might delay the project by years. But after all those criticisms, most observers agree that the project is probably going to be successful, just not as clearly as Elon Musk claims it'll be. More importantly, SpaceX is winning lucrative contracts with NASA and the Department of Defense, which will give the company more funding for this project, as well as more credibility for its capabilities. We will simply have to wait and see if this project will truly be as successful as Elon Musk claims it will be. Do you believe SpaceX will be the company to finally launch humans into Mars safely? Let us know in the comments down below. And that's all we have on what's the plan for SpaceX and when is the first launch expected. We'll simply have to wait and see again if this project will truly be as successful as Elon Musk claims it'll be. Do you believe SpaceX will be the company to finally launch humans into Mars safely? Let us know in the comments down below. And that's a wrap for this video. We'll see you in the next one.